And I will now welcome everybody to the December edition of the monthly ICA call. While you are all dignitaries in your own right, I don't know that we're going to have any of those more traditionally recognized Rotary dignitary people join us. I know our director is on his way to make an appearance, I think, at a district event in 7750 this evening. But we've got the majority of the zone's ICA team. I welcome all of you to be here. If anybody comes in, we'll recognize them and embarrass them thoroughly as we try to do routinely. If you are new to this, welcome. If you are not so new to this, you know that you're always free to view the recordings of the past calls in the event that you had to miss those. The links of those are provided in the recap emails that go out shortly after each month's call. But if you want to go to the Rotary Zones 3334 TV YouTube channel, you can catch them there, which I understand is being integrated with whatever technological connectivity that is with the Zones website, which has a new URL. It is now rotaryzones3334.org. And is turning out to be a fantastic product. So make sure you check that out as well. Just a brief recap of what we talked about in November. Here comes our RMO. Um, I think resolved is the correct word, that because we only get one opportunity a month to have this particular type of conversation, we want to be sure that during our time together, we provide some definite takeaways that are designed to, efficiently benefit your all's efforts, whatever those are, however you're carrying those out. We want this to have value and meaning for everybody that takes the time to attend. So what we did last month is we dove more deeply into this new working relationship between your districts, the club creation team, and particularly the app. We talked about who from throughout the zone has downloaded the app, who from each district did that just to gain access to it and gain a little insight to its inner workings, that really didn't have any intentions of going beyond downloading it. Then we took that to the next level as someone who really wanted to serve as a lead, quote unquote, lead, someone that wanted to explore the abilities and likelihoods of being able to create something new in their district or work with those that were being tasked with that as the primary point of contact. We asked that each district's ICA, follow up to the folks that were filtered out within the app to find out if those truly are just somebody that's queued up or if they're actual leads. Um, and then we encouraged everybody to schedule opportunities between last month's call and this one so that we could show each interested district's ICA or others how to become that quote unquote monitor person. So for this month, what we want to do is certainly recognize that December is the month that leads into that traditional ditch at the end where people start purging their rosters. It's usually for business reasons that aren't exactly membership oriented. It's more of a financially motivated task that certain districts take on in doing that. So part of what we wanted to talk about this month was finding the immediate ways to avoid or lessen the drop of those numbers at the end of this month that traditionally occurs. So I think a good place to start with that, and while the team and I were strategizing how we wanted to frame up this month's call, we wanted to start with the low hanging fruit. And everybody on the zone team is going to take a piece of this discussion or lead it or shape it, mold it, guide it, whatever you want to call that. But for starters, and I think Patrick, not to put you on the spot, but part of what you wanted to just kind of briefly touch on with everybody is the fact of whether or not any district has something that's ripe for chartering that can help offset some of that traditional loss that happens at the end of that month. Is that correct, Mr. Longano?
Yeah, I mean, we were just, our goal right now, our good friend Terry Weaver used to call it the December debacle and the June swoon or whatever he called it. But, it is truth. A zone is generally typically going to lose between 5 and 700 people. at the end of December, and they're going to lose about 12 to 1,500 people in the second part of the year. So whatever we do right now is going to minimize that loss, and that's what we have to do. And even if it's a 10% loss or cure, or a 15 or 20% cure on that, those are the things that we need to concentrate on. So does any district here have anything that's close to being done, close to finishing, close to anything like that that we can jump in and help just on the backside, maybe help you out? I know I just saw Al raise his hand.
Yep.
Yeah, Patrick, I think you know that we've got one from the Rotary Club of Ambridge, the PACE Club, that
Yep.
is completed step four and looking to get chartered.
Sean, could you put share on for me?
You're on, buddy.
Did you get a haircut, buddy?
All six of them. You
Man,
like that?
looking good too, buddy.
Like his
You know,
barber.
You got that lighting just right.
well, it's actually my laptop camera's going bad is my current reason for looking this way, but I'm afraid if I get a new camera and I still look like this, I turn out to be a liar. So I'm just
Man,
trying to avoid the whole thing.
I love you. I think it's fantastic. So you guys can see my screen real quick. Let me go ahead and redo this.
Can you also put on the thing that scrambles sensitive information too? So
Yeah,
we
I'm
don't.
not going to get into that sensitive information on this deal right now.
Okay.
What this is where you're at right now, and I want to draw your attention to there are 16 clubs that are sitting up there at Rotary International or have commenced their or have finished their recruiting and are like signing their documentation. So these we got 16 clubs that are done. The problem with it is that there's not a ton that are up here in our area. 32, zone 32, there's 34. It's a Rotary Club, another 34 that we're working on. 34. 28, there's 33, but that one's that Pace Club, Al. So you're really close on that. We just got to finish up the paperwork. 30, 31. So that's the only one that I have here in 33 that's in a step four. Now, I know that there's a bunch of clubs in step three, but Al, good job up there in 7305. Your DG's killing it on that. So. Real good work.
Thank
Anybody
you.
else have anything in the hopper in their district or have heard anything where we can lend our assistance? No. Fantastic.
Al, is there anything unique or otherwise worth sharing about what it is that this you called it Pace Club, but I think it's in Ambridge, so I'm not sure how it got that name. Maybe that's of certain interest to somebody on the call.
Yeah, I was going to mention that. Yeah, this it is unique. The driving force behind that is our district governor, Felicia Mysick. And Felicia, if you know Felicia, her nickname is Coach because she coaches the defensive backs for the boys' high school football team, the Ambridge high school football team, which is a quad. I think it's a single A football team, but they've been state champs a couple times in the last couple years. She also coaches the boys and girls track and field teams for the high school. She coaches girls flag football, but PACE is people of action through community involvement and exercise. And so it's a companion club that is based on people who want to serve their community through they get together. I think it's every other week and they do a run walk, and that is revolves around fundraising for a community service project in their community. They've been doing things with the local food bank and Meals on Wheels, and collecting money for I can't remember which food pantry it was for Thanksgiving Day meals. So it's a cause it's not a cause-based club. It's a companion club based around people who want to give back to the community, and a lot of it, in a lot of their activities are somehow exercise related. That's where the Pace Club name came from.
I think it's fantastic. Al, you've done really, really good work helping Felicia with that and bringing that to fruition. So we expect the paperwork to go out for signatures probably tomorrow or the next day. So
Yeah, next couple of days.
that'll finish up. And how many people did we have on that one, Al?
It's either 13 or 14.
Yep, pretty good companion club. Guys, the companion clubs, I'm telling you, over the past 3 years, you're averaging at about 14.2 people every companion club that you do. That is nearly what they're telling you you need for a brand new club. So that will tell you that it's not the number of people, it's the recruiting practices. So y'all know that. I'm looking at people like Chris Stevenson on the call, Andy, Kerry Gray, who's on the team, and Peter Anderson, just everybody on here. And there's Eileen Curtis, who's only an hour from me now. She's up in bed. Hey, Eileen.
Hello.
So you guys know this better than I do. The other thing is this too. Um, if you hear that somebody's leaving, or you know somebody's leaving at the end of December, pick up the phone and give them a call. If you know them, pick up the phone and give them a call and see what you can do to help them find a way to stay. You know, if you have 50 people that are leaving and you do some outreach and you can talk 5 people in to stay in, that's a win-win right there.
That's a good point, and that might serve us well to take us to kind of the next subtopic, if you will. And as much as we talk about and we try to be mindful and keep our foot on the gas at a moderate level all the time, the fact is, not every club in every district is thinking about creating something new. They may be growing without creating something new. They may be quote unquote happy with the size they are. They can have good reasons, less than good reasons, but there's usually a reason. But I still think it's generally true that not every club in every district is thinking about creating something new. So, for that reason, it's important to give the right amount of attention to retention as much as attraction. I know the app has got the club refresh option as part of it. And Ken, that seems to be something lately that you have spoken to on a somewhat regular basis.
Thanks,
Can
Sean.
you do you have any example that you can share about that in recent times?
Yeah, I do. Al DeLucia and I were on a call about 2 weeks ago with a young lady, and that was what she was really trying to work with was a refresh for her club. Um, their club, Al, if I remember right, their club is like 70 years old.
Right.
They have somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 members, and she's actually the DGN for their district right now. But one of the things that she's looking at with her club is to do a refresh, to get people reinvigorated, re-energized, looking at alternative meeting times, meeting places um, that will fit with the group. As you would expect, she's meeting with some resistance from some of the older, more traditional members. But she's looking at the long term and how can you retain those members as well as retain the newer members and encourage newer members to come into the club. And I just look at this from the standpoint that I look at the ICAs that are on the call, and if your districts are anything like mine, it's a lot of small clubs that really don't have the need um, to start a new club, a companion club, an impact club, or a cause club. They just don't have the population. But maybe what they need is a refresh to get things moving again, get their members moving again, get them engaged. And as John said, retention. But also by doing a refresh, this might encourage them or give them the opportunity to recruit new members. So I would encourage everybody to not only sell the North American Club Creation Team app for club creation, but I would also encourage you to think about what the club refresh can do. Thanks,
Yeah.
Sean.
And they can choose that right up front, Ken. When they download that app, they can just
Right.
choose the club refresh thing. So
This might be simple and obvious. I've been accused of worse, but it's easier to keep people if you give them a reason to stay. I know that sounds silly, but how many times do we see the major influx of all these new members? Oh, good, you grew. Look at the size. You've doubled your numbers. This is great, and everything's off the chart. Just to watch over the next 18 months, all those people sometimes and then some leave because the excitement that you built when they joined is not the excitement that you maintain after they've joined. And if it's not now what they thought it would be when they started, they've as someone said, they vote with their feet. Now they're gone. Um, it seems obvious to me, but Jose, thank you for joining the call, by the way. And I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I've heard you talk about about club culture. And I know that you and I had a conversation earlier today where we're looking forward into the future, the map calls that are coming up. And that's part of what we've hit on before and part of what we hope to hit on again. Do you care to share some dazzling nugget about the importance of that as far as giving reasons for people to stay, which obviously leads to less, departures?
Ah, just- I would say yes, Sean. I think in our earlier conversation, you even mentioned something that hit home with me, and that was that engagement itself isn't something you just do at the end of the quarter, end of the year, end of any of those time periods. It's all year round at every moment because you find something that people find of value because they have something that they're gaining a value of being a member of said club. And so when we think about engagement in a club, there's a number of things we can implement so that people have, let's say, a job to do or something that they care about. But it really boils down back to what the culture of that club looks like and how they operate in their day to day. Some clubs select not to have uh, enough opportunities for people to engage, and whether it be service projects or seats at the table for the board or just championing initiatives, simple things like shout outs. And some clubs do, right? So when we combine the idea that we should be providing spaces for people to engage with their club in the manner that makes sense for them, but also doing it on a regular basis, we're able to retain more people long term. And those that stick around make it even easier for us to attract others because they have bought into what it is that we do with Rotary, right? That everyday work throughout the year, not just at any specific time of the year. So, Sean, I think the only thing I can say here is engagement and engaging with people with members for retention is something that we do all the time. And for some, it's a refresh. Patrick, I'm in agreement with that. Some clubs need it. They need a refresh because they've been doing the same thing over and over again. And if they haven't considered trying something different, and different doesn't always mean flipping the entire club over, because innovation in and of itself can be something as small as simply adding, oh, let's say, a virtual format for a meeting if people want to travel more and still participate, right? Innovation can be something minimal, but still make a major impact. Does that help,
Yep,
Sean?
it does. I've been behind the pulpit more than once today in my various calls, and don't let me get back there again. But and if you catch me going there, just pull me back around to the front of the congregation. That's fine. But it frustrates me, even in my own club, to see the mad dash in December made to start giving reasons for people to stay through the turn of the calendar year, because that doesn't account for the people that left in November or October or September. And I think that supports my opinion earlier about it has to be a constant, moderate push on the gas and give people the reasons to stay all the time, not just during invoice season.
Sean, if I can give one quick analogy for that, and I think you have Mike and then Patrick next.
Absolutely.
It's similar to that of any healthy relationship. Yes, we have Valentine's Day and other major holidays where we're told, get flowers, get the gifts. But the reality is, when you do those sort of things throughout the year, at random times, not just in those, we're told to do so at the end of December because we're going to lose members, right? That relationship is much more healthier. So when you apply those concepts to your clubs, well, you have a lot more healthier relationships with your members.
Well, that despite we all know that you're young and in love, that is a great analogy. I appreciate you sharing that with us. Yeah.
Get him, Sean.
I'm old and in love, and if my wife says otherwise, she's lying. But uh, point taken, just the same. Thank you for sharing that. And you are correct, Jose. Michael, your hand was up next. Please go ahead.
Even older and in love, but what I'll say is what we've done the last 3 years, and I've mentioned this on the DMC call, is our district governor has put out something to all the club leaders at this time, and something that can be done right now, since we're kind of talking about the topic of end of year retention, is framing it as an act of caring, reaching out to somebody that you haven't seen in your club for a while, just to make sure everything is okay. They may be lonely during the holiday season. It's a different odd time of year for some people, and treat it as an act of caring, not as an act of membership, and put yourself in the other person's shoes. And we've done that several times in our club with success, and we've reached out in the last 3 years asking club leaders to do that within their clubs right at the start of December.
Excellent. Thank you, Mike. Patrick, go ahead.
Um, this is something I've been pitching for a while, but we have to create three distinct word tracks or common languages that we're talking about. You've got club creation and bringing people in, attraction, just like everybody said. You've got this arc while they're in the club, and you can make the club as irresistible as you want, and that's the number one way to slow your attrition rate is make it irresistible, make it care about your people, all these wonderful things that you do. Okay? That's the second part. But that part has nothing to do with the third arc of this thing. The people that are leaving, no matter how irresistible your club is, life happens. My job changed, my this, my that, the whole 9 yards. So when we talk about trying to help somebody not from leaving, we have to make sure that there are two different things. There's controllable attrition and uncontrollable attrition. You know what I mean? And those are really two separate things. There's really two different tactics that you need to focus on that. One, you gotta engage them while they're there to keep them there and so that they don't want to leave, right, Chris Stevenson? That's right. That's what you got to do. But it's a different tactic when they've walked up to you and said, my job changed, I'm leaving. You don't go, but we're irresistible. I mean, you know what I mean? It's a different tactic. So there are three different really kind of cool approaches, and you really have to look at this thing as a three-pronged attack. Membership or bringing in members, which is through club creation, through regular membership meetings, discover Rotaries, however you want to do that. That arc that's here, making it irresistible so more people don't leave, for the reason that that club stunk. But that other one is that main one that nobody ever talks about, and you'll see something coming out on that, is that one that these people are leaving. It's not death or felonies. They're leaving because their job changed, or now they're coaching T-ball, or they've just got elected the president of the PTA and they just don't want all that pressure on them there. So just when we're talking about those things, or as you're looking at those situations in your district, what can you do right now? What can you attack right now that's going to make a difference at the end of December? Can you go back and make everybody irresistible right now? What can you do? You can find out some people that are leaving and talk them into staying. Right, that's that part that you can move the needle today. So if I just want to make sure that we think about those things, that same way, because this and the engagement portion are two totally separate things.
Yep. I'm glad you said that. And Chris, I see your hand. If you'll let me divert for just 1 second, I'll come back to you. Because you mentioned having to leave, and Carrie Gray is one of those people that is having to leave soon. But I want to tee her up to make a significant contribution to this time together, because every month the zone team gets together and talks about what it is that we want to deliver. And Carrie is very patient because she's usually dealing with a room full of grumpy men in that process, and she's part of that team. So while she was tolerating us this month's preparation process, she off on the fly just crafted this thing that was awesome as far as how you can keep the momentum up within the club environment and endorse that whole theory that communication works and showing that you care and talking to people and finding out the whys and not focusing on like the exit interviews that Chris mentioned in the chat. Carrie, before you go, do you have time to share some of that greatness with everybody that's here?
Wow, you've set the bar high, Sean. But well, I think what I wanted to share with everybody is that, I've sat, obviously I'm part of the zone team for this group this year, but last year I sat in these meetings and, got a lot of value out of the conversations. But one of the things that I um tended to struggle with as an ICA for my district was figuring out like how to craft a message that I could send out to all of the membership chairs for the clubs or the presidents for the clubs, and just taking the time to do that. And I thought it just could be helpful for us to craft a sample message. No pride of authorship. You can edit the heck out of this thing, but something that you could just send out to your presidents and your membership chairs in your district about the app, but specific to the Discover Rotary and the Club Refresh. Because I think a lot of people think of the app as the tool to use if you're wanting to start a new companion club or a new satellite club or a new totally new club or new Rotaract club. And they may not realize that it can also be helpful from a Discover Rotary and a Club Refresh perspective. And so I'm going to put this into the chat. I think Sean is also going to um, put this in the email, in the recap email. But for anybody who's here tonight, you'll at least have it. And again, no pride of authorship. Take this, edit, tweak it, make it your own. But at least this gives you an easy way to send out a message across your district, encouraging people to think about the app for those two uses. And hopefully that it's not going to solve between now and December 31st, but hopefully it can tee up some things for early in 2026. So there you have it.
Now, wasn't that great? How about a visible round of applause? I mean, she did that while being distracted by all the nonsense that she was
Well,
surrounded with.
it was so funny, Sean. We were sitting on there, we're pontificating, me, Ken, Al, you, and all 9 yards, and Carrie just goes, "Look in the chat." We're like,
Yeah, we started to smell smoke, and we're like, "What's going on?" And then Carrie's
talking
like,
about it. She was being about it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
"Yeah." So no,
Happy to help.
I did not build you up unnecessarily. I mean, it's good, and it just seems so obvious after the fact that
Well, and
why.
I think one of the things that we wanted to challenge everybody with was take this message and try and send it out through P-mail or however you communicate to the club presidents and the club membership chairs in your district. Um, by when, Sean? Hopefully by this Friday.
Well, that's what we had targeted was by
Yeah.
12/5, which I think is Friday. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
again,
and then one of the other things that we're hoping to create, I think Patrick, we're working on it, is in the app that the ICAs would have a group chat feature. So between these meetings, if people needed some encouragement or they're, dealing with an issue and they wanted some feedback from this group, that they'd have the ability to have that group chat feature through the app, correct?
We are working on that right now. Hopefully, have
Yeah.
it here within the next week or two.
yeah.
Unless something comes up, but I think that he's already told me that he believed that he could do that. He can just go in and put all of our ICA folks in Zone 33 on it. You can do that. They'll have the
Awesome.
QR codes, everything.
That's
Cool.
great. There's a pretty good zone committee being built in DACDB right now that you could use to pull from to make sure you didn't skip over anybody that would, reasonably like to be part of that circle for sure. Chris Stevenson, your hand was up and you very patiently waited for me to divert everyone's attention for a minute. Did you still want to contribute some thoughts to what we were talking about?
Well, it's not a whole lot, Sean. It's, Mike said it and Al said it, and, talked about it. When we have that member that doesn't show up for 2 or 3 meetings and stuff like that, somebody pick up the phone and call.
Yes.
It may not be that, that there's a job change or anything going on, but maybe something has happened and we're losing our value to that member. And what we've got to do is instead of doing that exit interview conversation, we need to start fixing the problem as soon as we start to see the symptoms, right? But what the problem is that we wait until the symptoms have manifested themselves into a full-blown, outbreak on a disease and stuff. And we could cure this. We could fix this, right? And if we're not showing them value, give them an opportunity to add value to their club because there's always work to be done.
Please tell me that somebody else is going to start calling him Dr. Stevenson.
Yeah, well said.
I mean, for that little speech right there,
No,
that's it. We're going to call you Doc from now on. That's it. You're done.
see, I was gonna say Amen, Reverend, but I mean, you could go the doctor route, I
Well, he's
suppose.
talking about symptoms and diseases. I was like, all right, Doc, I got you.
Right on. Andy Young, your hand is up, please.
So, going along with what's been said, there's a few clubs that have what they call a sunshine committee, and that they're tasked with just that, with calling the people who haven't shown up, or maybe, even if we know that they're sick, they just call that person and just check up on them, and it just really takes that extra bit to show that we care about them. So, just tagging on with everyone.
I heard something today, and if it was part of this call, that just shows you how feeble-minded I'm becoming. But I think it was earlier in the day that there is a use for past presidents of a club. And I think that was the example that was given as the folks that do the mentoring or the onboarding or whatever you want to call that. I know a lot of past presidents in my club. Once they're president, you can just see that collective deep breath that they take, and then they go and sit in the back of the room. Oh, no, 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 no. Your name tag's a different color. That doesn't mean that you're now all of a sudden unemployed. I got a job for you. I mean, it could be that for sure.
No,
Ken, I
I
saw
think
your mic go off. Ken's getting all lathered up. Go for it.
uh, I think whenever Mike and Patrick had their hands up, I think Eileen was trying to get somebody's attention too.
Oh,
So
great. Well, do
I
this
want
next time, Eileen. Yeah, yeah,
Keep,
please
keep
do.
keep going. I'll get back to you.
Go ahead.
Um, that's okay. Go ahead. Well, Patrick, guide me here. Do we want to share anything about the Impact Generations Club?
Well, I think that's Eileen. I think that I think we learned exactly what we're doing. Eileen's done such a good job prospecting in her district that she's got two clubs that want to do a type of family parent-child type of club. It just so what we did was Eileen was able to get them both on a call, explain the app. We talked to them a little bit, and then they split and have now booked separate meetings. So they're walking through that. And one of the things that we all got to think about is that she's got two clubs that are up there, one in the north portion and one in the south portion of her district that want to do one of these types of clubs. And we're calling it a Generations Club. And I think that's a really kind of cool name that they've come up with. I think that
That's Patrick's
that's
name.
that's something. No, no, no. I just assist. That's it. But I think that those will come to fruition probably right at the beginning of the year. I'm not quite sure that they can hit before December 31st, but um, I would, if I had to guess, both of those will finish mid-January and be very, very popular. Eileen's really, really working hard on those, and she's working them from North Carolina, from Beach Mountain, instead of up in Virginia. So it doesn't matter where you are, you can create a club, right, Eileen?
Exactly.
That's perfect. Thanks for bringing those up. You've done a heck of a job on those.
Al, if I can put you on a spot, that's very similar to a story I've heard you tell 10 times, and I never get tired of hearing it about how your wife, Lisa, became a Rotarian, right?
Yes. Yeah, my wife Lisa is a charter member of the Impact Club of McMurray. Yeah, and as she told Patrick Lilana, she has always been a Rotarian. She was never a member of the Rotary Club of McMurray because she always felt that she was always going to be the wife of Al DeLucia, my wife in my club. Now with the Impact Club, she has a chance to be a charter member of the Impact Club, and she's loving it. And yeah, both and my daughter and her husband are members, and we've got a number of members that have their kids, members of the traditional club that have their kids as members of the Impact Club.
I tell that story 10 times a week because it's an important one. We learn while we're doing this why somebody joins and why somebody doesn't join. And that one reason, when we were doing that charter party, Al's wife, who's way lovelier than Al, and he married way up
Oh
on
yeah.
this deal, she came up and she's like, I want to thank you. And I was like, sure, no problem. You know how you do it. And she's like, no, you listen to me. And I was like, whoa, okay. She goes, I've always wanted to be a Rotarian, but I didn't want to invade Al's space. This gives me a space of my own. And that day, I'll never forget it because I never thought of that. I never thought of somebody wanting to be a Rotarian, but not wanting to, because there's no other options around, not wanting to do that because they didn't want to crowd their spouse or or their loved one in that area. So I learned so much from your wife that day on that, Al, and just everybody, if you're thinking about that, you never know what will keep somebody out.
Right.
Eileen, you'll
Thanks, Patty.
appreciate this story. Julie and I have 5 children, and they're all grown. 2 of them are very career minded, and they're doing their thing. They're trying to get their picket fence built and their houses bought, and and I got that. A couple of them absolutely believe that Rotary is just one giant worldwide cult, and they have absolutely no use for Rotary whatsoever. But the 5th one, my son Nicholas, is a Rotarian. Do you think he's a member of Dad's club? Oh, heck no. I need my space. I need to be able to do my thing. There is still a passport club in our district up here in the Mountain State, in Harrison County. And if you're not familiar with that term, and I don't know that it's designed that way, but that's what it was called then, and it still is called that now. That passport club does not have meetings of its own at all. But they do scour social media and different other channels to find out what the opportunities are to do service alongside other clubs that are formatted differently. And they just show up like a flash mob. I mean, it's got a little companion in it. It's got a little impact in it. It's got a little bit of friends and family and the kind of club that you're talking about. But it also provides the space that Lisa needed. And I went through the same thing with my wife, who's now governor-elect. So clearly she found her own path through Rotary and pushed me out of the way of the one that she had before. So it all works out.
Can I add something? I
Sure.
heard from one of our club presidents about another avenue that is undeveloped. And this relates to, we had formed the Alexandria South Club, formed the first Spanish-speaking satellite club. And I talked to him last week and I said, how is the club doing? And he said, you wouldn't believe it. People are crawling to get here. They're coming in from Maryland in order to attend a Spanish-speaking Rotary session. We all have communities where Spanish or another language is prevalent. And I think it's another great opportunity for exploring.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one of those that's being explored right now in our district as well. And I don't know why we didn't think of that before. Talk about low-hanging fruit. Well, I could tell you war stories all day long. That's not the purpose of this call. Is there, in the spirit of being timely and respectful, is there any other topic that you think we need to touch on or, kind of dive into more deeply or any confusion been caused by any of the comments or suggestions that have been made tonight that you'd like to hear about? Anything else? Nothing. Crickets. Okay. Well, then let's review just a couple of things. Again, I mean, this time is meant to be meaningful. I hope that you find it that way. Again, Carrie's product that she put the link to in the chat, it takes all the heavy lifting away from being able to do this. So if you really want to feel like you've made some effort during this month of December to prevent some of these adverse results from occurring, that is an easy way to do it. Just a little bit of outreach to those people who are really where the rubber meets the road and can help make our jobs much easier as new club creators of things, for sure. Any other questions? Any other thoughts? If not, then I'm going to give you some stuff, as we normally do. Because just as valuable as this call is, there's other things that are going on throughout the zone, as you know, that are well worth being part of. And if I can get this to advance, I will give you that 6 days from, no, actually, that's 2 weeks from now, isn't it? The 15th, that Monday is the next MAP call. Seasonally correct. It's going to be called Chilling Out with MAP, a winter wonderland of ideas, which basically is just fancy code for Ask Me Anything. There's been a lot of good topics that have been discussed during those MAP calls throughout the year. And instead of just content being delivered one direction, this is going to be more of a conversation type thing. And if you enjoy these calls, you should enjoy that one as well. The next month is the traditional monthly call-in for the DMCs and what our Rotary membership coordinator, Chris Justice, in Zone 33 calls the stakeholders. You certainly don't want to miss that one. The next Zoom formation, like the one that was held yesterday, will be Monday, January the 5th, after we turn the calendar with our director, Patrick Eakes. And then this call again, and I'm a little bit apprehensive to share this with you, will be on January the 6th. And I will be embarking as a facilitator, very fortunately, again, to International Assembly in Orlando and not be part of the call. Now, whether you want to call that the proverbial, the cat's away, the mice will, I don't know. I'm pretty sure there are those on the team that have plans. I will not be part of them. Hopefully someone will press record or send me text messages while I'm away.
There
That
will
would be-
not be any proof, Sean. We
Okay.
told you that.
I was afraid you were going to say that. So to wrap things up, today being December the 2nd is National Fritters Day. I don't know how fond you are of fritters, but it's worthy of mention that today is National Fritters Day in the U.S. It is also National Bartender Day.
Nice.
I don't know if either of those things excites anyone. I don't know that I would combine them in any way. Could lead to, but nevertheless, there you have it. Anything else for the good of the order?
No, thank you.
All right, fantastic. Then I thank you all. I hope you enjoyed a good Thanksgiving. You know what's right around the corner. Be safe, enjoy yourselves, keep fighting the good fight for all the right reasons, and we will see you again in the new calendar year. Thank you
Thank
all for
you.
being here. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Sean.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Sean.
Sean.
Joe.
Thanks, John. Take it easy.